Welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I mix my drums. If you get a nice mix on your drums, everything else will just fall into place, and that's what I want to show you guys here. And this will be really nice, suitable for beginners if you want to get into mixing, if you struggle with getting your drums to sit in your track nicely and all that kind of order. I'm going to show you in this video. So this is not going to dive too much into like the processing of drums, like adding too much effects and all that kind of thing, but just how to level them and make them sound nice in your track and make them, you know, just sit nicely into the track. This is what I'm going to show you. So what I have here is a portion of the track that I have selected, which is this one here, where like most of my drums are playing. So this is where I just selected. So you can do the same when you're mixing, or you can play through the whole thing. But I would say if you want to level your drums nicely, just try and pick a place where maybe you feel all the drums are playing, like all of them are playing, and you know, just select that. So what I did to select that, if you don't know, is that I right clicked like right here on the cursor. Like you can move this cursor like that, and then you just right click and drag like that. So this is how this track is sounding at the moment. Okay, so one thing that I've never really spoken about in my previous videos is that mixing actually starts from the channel rack itself, because the channel rack has channel volume. So this is where you kind of also level out your samples and level out your channels and how they sound and the loudness and all of that. So you can see here all my volumes are kind of leveled out, but this is just to kind of you know, set the tone and set the placement of where I want everything to sit, kind of like a pre-mixing kind of a stage. This is what I do here in the channel rack. But what I then do in the mixer is now the mixing, making sure that whatever is going on at the later stage with in context of the whole track is how everything is gonna sound going out to the master bus, which is now the final mix down of the track. So don't worry about these. You can just try and as you make the music, you know, play around with the channel panning or the channel volumes and just place your sounds in the right place you want to place them. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm just going to send all these tracks to mixer channels, right? So you can see some channels are sent to mixer tracks. Like you can see here, there's these ones. I don't think I'm using these ones actually. And then there's these other ones. They are sent to the mixer. So I'm just going to select these other ones like that. And I'm going to send them to my mixer like by pressing Control L. And then boom. And then now here's my mixer. So you can just scroll through where it says compact here and just change how your mixer looks. I like it when it looks like this so that you guys can also see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to close everything. And so we just focus on the mixer, just like that. So if I play back the track, I can see everything here. I can see everything that's going on. And something that I also like to do is just keep a little bit of an order in the mixer so I can know what's what. So what I like to do, one tip that I like to do is I like to use busing or grouping the channels that I'm trying to make. So I'm going to group all my drums into and route them into like one channel. That's something that will help me just keep an order. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to move this one and I'm going to select these and move them up like that. So all my drums are starting from here going on to there. So that's all my drums. This is all my drums here, and this is all my other plug-in sounds that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also maybe place my kick right at the beginning. So here's the tip. I'm also just going to leave my kick out of the drum group so that I can use my kick to kind of side chain the drums later on. If you don't know how to sidechain, I have a video on sidechaining that you can watch if you want to know how to, do sidechaining. The reason why I'm letting my kick stay outside is because I don't want to process it the same with the other drums, because I want my kick to really stand out and be powerful and really punch through. So I'm not going to mix it with anything. It's going to be sitting on its own, independent of everything else. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select these and press Control Shift, and then I'm going to select everything plus an extra channel, which is insert number 23. You can see insert number 23 doesn't have anything, and then I'm just going to come here and just right click and just say track routing and create submix, and I'm going to come to this drop down menu and just say drums. There we go. So now that's all my drums. So you see here it created like a drums master. If you want to highlight this, if you feel like this is kind of slightly confusing, you can dock it maybe to the right if you want to the left or to the right, whatever works for you. But I like to dock to the right. So now it's here. So you see if I play and I mute that, all my drums are muted except my kick and all the other sounds that I didn't route to this one mixer channel. So that's what I like to do, so that all the processing that I do in this one channel, they're only for those sounds that are routed in there. So what I like to do is just start by maybe muting everything. Like I can just mute everything like this, and then just start with my kick. So I'm mixing in context of everything, like all the other sounds that are in the track, like the synth sounds and everything. So I'll start with my kick. So I think the kick is in a good place. It sounds okay. So now I want all the other sounds, all the other drums to come under the kick, because the kick is the loudest thing. I cannot expect my hats to be louder than my kick, or the snares or the percussions to be louder than my kick. So I just start bringing out sounds, in context of the kick and all the other sounds. So you just have to pay attention to this part. Make sure my drum master is on here. So I'm just going to drop that down. Okay, so I like this sound here, which is that hat that's just hitting twice like tss, tss. I'm just going to throw on a reverb there. I think it'll do nice with a reverb. That's nice, and then move on to the next. I think that sound as well can also do with a little bit of reverb. And you'll notice that what I'm doing is I'm increasing the decay time on these, so that it's sounds that are only coming in once in a while. So it's not sounds that are like continuous, like the first hat that I mixed there. So I'm just adding a little bit of decay, because it sounds that can have that decay like that. And then the next sound. So you can hear this sound is jumping out, so I can drop it down like that. So with a sound like this, it's not really standing out as much as I would like it to. So what I can do is I can come to the effects, and I can load in maybe a Fruity Stereo Enhancer just to, throw it out of whack in the stereo field, and just spread it out a little bit, just so that it can be spread out. And then we're going to move on to the clap. We just drop it down a little bit. So with this clap, this is now, it depends on you what you want to do. You can either put a reverb or a delay if you want to, but make sure that you don't overdo it on the decay time. So I think that sounds good. I'm also just going to increase the size of this reverb. And I'm going to use the high cut and low cut controls over here, so I can cut out the frequencies of the reverb that are on the highs and the lows, just so that it focuses on the mid-range more without adding a little bit of too much mud into the sound here. So again, I am listening to how this clap is communicating with the kick, so that it's not, when the clap comes in, it's not like overshadowing the kick or any other instrument. It's just standing on its own. So you achieve this by good mixing. And then this next sound here, which is another hat. So you see, this hi-hat here, hi-hat 11, is going to be a little bit louder than the previous hats here. And I'm going to come back to these hats here. And I'm going to come to these two, and I'm going to pan one to the left and the other one to the right, so that they can just kind of play around in the stereo field nicely, so they can have a nice placement, so they can give you a nice interest there, because I haven't really panned much. And I'm gonna, maybe if I want to, pan this one a little bit to the left and pan this one also to the right a tad bit, but not too much. This is just to space them out a little bit. Panning can also help you achieve clarity in your track as well. So this is another bonus tip that you can also use in your mix. So we also have a cymbal here. It's my preference to just kind of tone down cymbals, because when you play your music out in like big systems, cymbals really stand out, and they are really, I don't know, they're just piercing in the ear. So I like to really turn them down and then start to bring them up as I see fit. I think that's comfortable. I like a really soft cymbal. I don't want a crash that just goes like and just really like, you know, be jarring and really piercing in the ear. I like a cymbal that's really nice and soft, because we're making deep music, soft emotional music. We're not trying to make hard music where people feel like you're trying to overdo it. Okay, so I have these two hi-hats that are coming in like tss, tss. I like those hi-hats. So I'm just gonna also make sure they're somewhere up there. They're also nice and visible, those hi-hats, but I'm gonna keep them in the middle of the stereo field. So as you're mixing both the levels in terms of volume, and you're also working on the pan and the placement in the stereo field of the track as well. So also keep that in mind. And then we have another cymbal here. I'm not sure where that cymbal is, but I'm sure it's somewhere around. I think it's this one at the end here. So we're just gonna go. So this is a ride. So I can maybe change this to like a ride cymbal, just so that you can see it. This is a ride. This is another percussion sound that we have there. So what you could do with sounds like these, if you feel like they're not really standing out, and you feel like maybe your volume is maxed out, but you still want a little bit of more out of them, you can maybe drop it down a tad bit, and then you can throw on an EQ, and then you can maybe make them a tad bit brighter if you want to. And I'll just shelf out the low end here like that. Just so the sound can shine through nicely, and then, you know, everything can be good. So that's how all these drums are sounding, and I just leveled them nicely, and I think they're at a place where I can be comfortable. And then after that, this is where now I go to my drum master, and then I start to do my other effects. This is where I can now process all my drums all together and really make them sound nice. So if you have a drum maybe plugin that you use, which is like a drum preset or a drum bus plugin that you might like to use, then you can throw it there. Then it can affect all the drums. Sometimes I can use something like Ozone or Neutron or something like that. That's all up to me. But having a nice level and a nice mix before you do that, before you do the processing on the drum bus or the drum master, is something that'll be really dope. So if you want to add compression, you can go ahead and do that. So if you want to add compression, you can just throw whatever compressor that you feel works for you. And if I want to, I can add maybe Ozone, and I can pick any preset in Ozone here that can help me with like drums. And Ozone has really nice, like you see here, it has instrument and buses. So you can pick anything that's in here. So if you want to use maybe the Details drums preset, you can use that. Drum bus space, excited drums, so you can use any preset here just to get somewhere to start with your drum bus, so you kind of have an idea of where you want to start, and then just look at this is why I really love using Ozone and Neutron and these other plugins that I can just throw on there, so that they can give me an idea of where I might want to go with these. I can even use rock drums if I want. Like, I know this is not a rock track, but maybe just the texture of everything is nice. And if I use something like this, I also just want to maybe tweak whatever settings are in here to my liking. I don't have to commit to whatever settings are in this preset. So I can also maybe try punchy percussion. I think I might like that. And to also notice what this plugin is doing. So you can see here it's adding some low end, some low frequencies over here, and it's also adding some mid-range, and you can see the dip here, and also adding some brightness to the drums as well. And there's some dynamics, there's some compression going on, and there's a dynamic EQ. And I can move these around to whatever frequency that I wanted to react to. And there's some excitement, which is something I really like to do to my drums. I like to give them a little bit of excitement, and that's really nice. So you can also play around with these as well. If you feel like it's a little bit less, you can add the amount. If you feel like it's too much, you can drop it down. Just raise the compressor threshold there. So it's not compressing too much of the drums. Just like that. But you can also see that it's also doing parallel compression here, because the parallel switch here is right here by 40. So that's actually something that's really good. So sometimes presets can even set you up nicely without you even knowing it. So that's something that's really cool. I think I'll leave it here by 54. I think I like it by 54 there. And then I think I'm going to drop these a tad bit. And I think this frequency here was supposed to be maybe for like a kick, but I don't have my kick in this same bus in this group here. So I'm just going to turn that down, and maybe if I want to use it in another like frequency that I want to use, then I can do that, but I can just turn it off. I'm just gonna raise right here by 500 hertz, and I'm gonna turn down those high frequencies down, like down to 2 dB gain, because there's also some excitement happening at the end here. And what I like about this exciter, it can also learn the frequencies that you have here. So there's this learn switch. I like to use that. So you see there, it automatically detected the frequency crossover and all that. It just selected frequencies on its own, so it can learn from the music. I love this about Ozone. This is something that I really like. But anyways, that's how it's sounding. So this is without. If I bypass and make sure I'm gain matching, and this is with. And I can also use the mono switch as well to check my mix in mono as well. So what this gain match allows me to do is that it allows me to switch between the bypassed and with these effects without having too much difference in the volume and the level, because the perceived loudness, if it changes, it might make you feel like it's doing something good, or doing something impressive, when it's just a boost of loudness that is impressing you and not really what it did. And you can tell that this effect that I put here on this drum group didn't really do so much, but just tone it a little bit. It really didn't change like drastically how the mix was already set and how I already set it, and that's totally fine. Less is more in mixing, and that's what you want to do, and I think that's a good place. And you can keep working on it until you find everything to your liking and find it good. But I hope you find this really helpful. That's as much mixing as I can do right now. You don't want to mix for too long because of ear fatigue, so keep that in mind. But anyways, that's how I would level my drums and how I would mix my drums. On the first pass, I can definitely do maybe even 5 passes if I want to, or different mixes, and create multiple saves and just figure out which one I like at the end of the day. If you do find this really helpful, make sure to share this video with a friend, and also drop this video a like. And if you want to have me mix and master your music, you can also hit me up in my DM or in my email and let me know what kind of track you want me to mix and your budget and all those kinds of things, and then I can mix for you. So don't be afraid to reach out and I can mix for you. I've got the time, I've got the expertise. Let me know down below, and also subscribe to this channel for more content like this. I will see you guys in my next video. I am X and I am out. Peace.